What? I didn't hear any music.
Yeah, it wasn't plugged in on the speaker because I took the computer home.
Oh. So, well, kind of hum or something.
Dun, 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 dun,
3,
dun, dun,
2,
dun, dun,
1.
dun.
We are live. Hey, good early afternoon and welcome. We're without some speakers. We're actually about to go on a big trip and we're packing stuff and don't know where stuff is half the time. And we're going to come back from 10 days gone with a lot of material. So, I mean, there will be material going on while we're gone because we'll be semi-live, as you know. But we're glad to have you here today. We're here at Wisdom Harbor Studios at the Wharf in Orange Beach, Alabama, here in the middle of the financial district, right next to one of the escalator statues. We have 4 here at the Wharf. We have 2 Marlin statues, 4 escalator statues. If you come visit us, you need to take a picture with the escalator statues. They are beautiful, life-size, lifelike. I mean, they look absolutely real. They do everything but go up and down. I am really excited today about the content of this show. We have some amazing facts about some of your famous writers. And I think we've made some connections here with our sharp research team, and it's gonna get you. If you are joining us for the first time, we would urge you to please click that notification button if you're on Facebook and turn your notifications on your phone. That way you'll be notified when we go live here. If you're with LinkedIn, loosen your tie, sit back. Twitter, especially all you fake people out there in Twitter. I wonder if any fake people are watching us. I don't know. But we're glad to have you here. And of course, the wisdomharbor.com people, the YouTube people, we're excited that you're here. And this is my shirt today. This is like almost a hunter orange shirt that came from Sand Dollar Lifestyles. As you know, they are our clothing sponsor here on the Blue Plate Special. And I need to tell you, speaking of t-shirts, we have had action with the Books for Vet. Books for Vet thing. Where are we now, Matthew? As you know, our goal is 10,000 hardcover books for the Veterans Administration in Washington, D.C., and you guys are doing a great job with that. We're set up to have, with every $10 donation, that pays for a hardcover book, the shipping, the handling, everything to get it to the VA, and the 10,000 books. We're getting close to our goal.
We're at 9,198. So we have 802 left.
Wow. Okay. Well, and we've also gotten some help. Now you can go on andyandrews.com and just do a $10 donation, or you can add it to an order that you have, or we have many different t-shirts there. And so you can, for everybody who gets a t-shirt, that will include, you'll have a $10 hardcover book, or a hardcover book that
it's donated in your name.
Someone
else's.
Yeah. And also, what is the date today, Matt? Is the
July 19th.
July 19th. Okay. And then how many days hath July?
31.
Is it 31? Okay. I can't remember. I know that like 30 days hath September, but after that I get kind of lost. But the Hudson Family Foundation donated 250 books just yesterday, and that is the Hudson Family Foundation is Tim and Kim Hudson. You'll remember Tim Hudson pitched for the Braves, and he might have pitched for some other teams, but only the Braves count. And so Kim was in the other day. She was actually in the studio and heard about the Books for Veterans thing that we're doing. And so they have gotten 250 books and are offering from now to the end of the month to match another 250 books if it's done by the end of the month. So just every book you get, they're going to match one. And so let's get going. All right. We really appreciate Kim and Tim and the Hudson Family Foundation for doing that. That is very cool, very helpful, and another way of saying thanks to our veterans. Marcy Crosser Taylor, good morning. What is supposed to be 99 there today? Are you serious? The Professional Noticer was good this week, wasn't it? I mean, it just came out this morning, but it was Devin Harris. I could just sit and listen to him talk. He's one of the Cool Runnings guys, one of the guys that the 3-time Olympian, the Jamaican bobsled team. And so he was our guest on the Professional Noticer, and that's out there this week. Christy, my sister, and you shared. Thank you. Also, Matt says, well, why don't you tell her?
Christy, I brought your Tupperware back. Thank you for the macaroni salad. It was delicious. Sorry, I kept your Tupperware.
I didn't eat any of the macaroni salad because I was eating the potato salad and the barbecue. My sister makes the best potato salad in the world. I'm just telling you. It's not even close. I mean, they don't even have competitions for potato salad because of my sister. I mean, you hear about barbecue competitions, chili cook-offs. You hear about, Food Channel having these recipes. They do not do potato salad competitions because of my sister. She's already kind of inked the deal. Who's in Birmingham? Jacob Norris Luker. What are you doing, JN? All right, let's get to this. We have Chris Comer. We are ready to deliver some facts about famous writers. Now, when I was in high school, I didn't really care about writers because anybody who had written anything, they made me read it, and I wasn't really into writers. Now, people may think that's kind of odd because I turned out to be one. I mean, I didn't really like writers, and now I are one. But the one thing about there's actually a couple of things about high school. I feel like I would have liked history a lot sooner. I didn't like history either. But now I love it. But I feel like I would have liked history a lot sooner if I had just had a history teacher that walked in one day and said, okay, everybody close your books. We're no longer going to memorize dates. We're going to hear a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's true. Well, then I would have been into it. But the writer thing, I was just kind of bugged by what they made us read, I think, because I didn't understand some of it. And now I know why. I mean, here's our first writer fact. Charles Dickens. How many of you had to read Charles Dickens in school? Yeah, you guys? Charles, yeah, me too. Well, see, Charles Dickens had a passion for hypnosis. Who knew that? I mean, he was into hypnosis. This is the author of classics like Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol. And he attended a number of lectures on the practice of hypnosis, which he called mesmerism. He was mesmerized But he was into this mesmerism, into hypnosis, which may explain why you and I zoned out in the 8th grade reading A Tale of Two Cities. It's like, I just, you know, what was that kid's name?
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever had to read the book.
Oh, come on. In A Tale of Two Cities?
I know how it starts, though.
It wasn't
It was
sport.
the best of times. It was the. Isn't that how that one starts? It was the worst of times.
The best of times, it was the worst of times. And that was when I was hypnotized from then to the end of the book. I can't remember the kid's name. It wasn't Scout. That was To Kill a Mockingbird. It wasn't Sport. That's a car. Somebody knows. Somebody will tell us.
See,
In a minute.
characters: Sydney.
No, it wasn't
Alexander,
Sydney.
John, Stryver, Roger, Charles, Lucy.
What are you reading?
Google.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was some odd name. But Dickens, speaking of odd names, Dickens also gave himself a number of unusual nicknames. He called himself the Sparkler of Albion. That's pretty weird, isn't it? He also called himself the Inimitable. I am the Inimitable. He called himself Revolver and the Resurrectionist.
Humble guy.
Yeah, humble guy. I think maybe it was Great Expectations that I was thinking of the kid's name,
Ah.
but I can't remember his name. Either way, but he loved his pet raven so much. His pet raven was named Grip. He loved his pet raven so much that when it died, he had it stuffed and mounted in his office. Like, can you imagine, like, one of your pets dying and saying, "I'm just going to send you to the taxidermy"? Yeah, we'll just have the taxidermist take care of it. I sat next to Dale Evans one time on a flight, and I asked her if it was true that Trigger died, and I asked her if it was true that Roy had Trigger stuffed, and he did. He did. Mounted him up on two hooves like that, and I asked her, "What about Bullet, the dog?" And he said, and she told me, she said, "Stuffed." I said, "Wow, I guess we can only hope Roy dies before you do then." So, okay, Dickens also suffered from obsessive compulsive behavior, and he combed his hair 20 times a day, and when staying in hotels, would immediately rearrange all the furniture. And see, I don't know if I don't know. You know, you read somebody's stuff, and sometimes you think, are they writing about themselves? You know, one of these characters. And so, you know, I wonder if, like, he was like Fagin in Oliver Twist. You know, that crook that corrupted the boys. Okay, Alice in Wonderland author. Now, I thought this was very odd. You know how Mel. I can't believe I can't think of his name. He's a friend of mine. Mel Tillis. You know how Mel Tillis stuttered, but when he sang, he wouldn't stutter, right? And so this is very odd. The guy who wrote Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, had a very bad stuttering problem, but he was vocally fluent when he spoke with children. I thought that was very weird. I used to love being with Mel Tillis. Mel was very funny. Had a brother that looked a lot like him that ran the merchandise, and his brother used to drive a bread truck, and so Mel and everybody else called him Bread Man. It's true. Okay, Mark Twain, who wrote The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, nearly drowned 9 times as a child. Wouldn't you think somebody just teach him to swim? I mean, just teach him to swim. Or say, you're going to town, Mark? Here, put on this life jacket. I mean, 9 times? 9 times? What,
I think he would have stayed away from the water.
Yeah, I mean, was he falling face down in a puddle? I mean, 9 times?
I'm always shocked. Like, I can get drowning when there's a flood, something like that, something extreme. I'm like, I don't know. It's someone, you know, I could see being a toddler or something like that. Maybe he was really young, but I'm like, how do you not know how to swim? It's just, I feel like basic instinct. You just kick your feet, flap your arms. You don't even have to do both.
Yeah, but, you know, 9 times. I don't get that. I don't get that. I mean, if you didn't want to embarrass him by putting on, you know, an orange life jacket and having him walk around town, maybe you put the rings, the rings on his arms. Just wear those. 9 times. Okay, Agatha Christie. When she had writer's block, which wasn't often, evidently, she wrote a jillion books, but Agatha Christie, when she had writer's block, she would get in the bathtub and eat apples. I'm not sure about that. I mean, you see people do odd things, but why? I mean, how would you come up with that?
I don't know. That's kind of bizarre.
I mean, how would you land on that? I mean, it's just like you got writer's block and you're going, okay, let me get in the tub. No, oranges isn't doing it. Then the next time you get in the tub, you go, prunes, can't stay in the tub long. You have writer's block, you get in there, so plums, that ain't doing it. And then you chomp an apple and go, there's a mystery. And so from then on, it was like, but she was kind of a weirdo. I'm just telling you, she tried her best to take up smoking and was really upset when she couldn't develop the habit. I mean, how many people have you known? They're like, oh, dang it, I've just got this horrible habit of not smoking and I can't get over it. You know, I wish I could kick this non-smoking habit. I know. I had a friend who quit smoking. He told his dad, he said, Dad, I quit smoking. His dad said, you quitter. Anyway, Agatha Christie also suffered from dysgraphia. Do you know what dysgraphia is, Matt?
I do, just because I know that's a thing close to your heart.
Yeah, it is. We have dyslexia is where you're seeing things, your brain sees things backward. And dysgraphia is where whatever signals goes from your head to your hand doesn't work to make the words. I mean, you can't write legibly. And so Agatha Christie had dysgraphia, could not write legibly. And so all of her novels she dictated. I've tried to dictate writing. I can't, I have a hard time doing that. I think it's because I get into other conversations while I'm trying to do it. At one point, Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. And I mean, she was really, really famous. and she disappeared for 11 days in 1926. And a rumor circulated that she may have been abducted by aliens. She's now believed to have suffered an out-of-body amnesia brought on by stress. Actually, a lot of people thought she was abducted by aliens, and other people thought she had gone swimming with Mark Twain. Just like. But did you know Agatha Christie is the best-selling author of all time? Of all time. Now, all time, how many books would you think? I've got a friend, Jerry Jenkins. Jerry has sold 90 million books. Jerry wrote the Left Behind series, and he's had 27, 28 New York Times bestsellers, 90 million books. But compared to Agatha Christie, Jerry is a piker. He's a piker. She sold 2 billion books. 2 billion. That is crazy. Kevin Perkins. Yeah, that's my best friend. I miss that. I miss that. Kevin said he thought I was going to say that Agatha Christie was in the tub eating apples and found she was sitting on Mark Twain. That's another drowning. She's abducted by Mark. Okay, Lord Byron. Remember Lord Byron, the poet? He had a pet bear. Now, this is very curious. Dogs were forbidden from his dorm rooms at Cambridge. No dogs. And he was so mad when he was ordered to send his wonderful pet dog home. He was so mad that he adopted a bear and walked it around campus on a leash. There's Lord Byron for you. This is not illegal, is it? This is not this is not against the rules. Okay, here's a weirdo. Here's a weirdo coming out. You ready for a writer weirdo? Here's a weirdo. Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, no, there's a weirdo. Edgar Allan Poe rarely left his house without 2 pistols and his dog, a Great Dane called Bounce. Poe often wrote with his Siamese cat on his shoulder. Cat was hiding from the dog. Edgar Allan Poe thought of having an owl, quote, nevermore, in his famous poem, The Raven. He thought about it being an owl. And then some letters he wrote also indicate that he was even considering using a parrot in that poem. That wouldn't have been as creepy. Nevermore. It wouldn't have been as creepy. No, that wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have worked. You know, it's amazing to me how many different, we get the end result. I mean, we get the Raven, but we never thought it might have been the parrot. And and think of all the other books that had working titles. I mean, a lot of people don't know that To Kill a Mockingbird at first was going to be To Kill a Blue Jay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But then a lot of people they decided that people didn't really like blue jays either anyway, and nobody would have cared if you killed one. And so then for a while it was To Kill a Hummingbird because they thought, well, people, but then that went away in favor of penguin. But then there weren't any penguins in Monroeville, Alabama. And so To Kill a Penguin didn't make it either, and it ended up being To Kill a Mockingbird. True story. True story. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Now here, let's go full on weird for you. Edgar Allan Poe also married his 13-year-old cousin when he was 26. Yep, Edgar Allan Poe married his 13-year-old cousin when he was 26. Curiously, Jerry Lee Lewis rarely left home without pistols and often wrote songs with a bottle of Jack Daniels on his shoulder. And he married his 13-year-old cousin too. He was 22 at the time. You know who he's married to now? You know? No kidding. He's married to his 7th wife, who is the ex-wife of the cousin he married's brother, who is also his cousin. Okay, the one he married, the 13-year-old married, she had a brother that was also his cousin. Okay, and so as they grew up, the man cousin, the one Jerry Lee didn't marry, the man cousin got married. Would that have been a cousin by marriage? Because they were first cousins. They were first cousins. Jerry Lee married his first cousin, 13. And so her brother grew up, and then he gets married. And then I guess they get divorced. And now, today, Jerry Lee is married to his cousin by marriage. Her name's Judith.
And just to set the record straight, Jerry Lee was not born in Alabama. He was born in Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana can claim him. Yeah, baby. Louisiana can claim him. I knew Jerry Lee. I haven't seen him in a long time. Is there a picture of me and Jerry Lee? There you go. That's me doing something stupid on a talk show and Jerry Lee laughing at me. Could have been he was laughing because he had a coffee cup with him. It wasn't coffee in there either. Just telling you. But man, the guy could play. He could play. And, you know, Jimmy Swaggart is a cousin of Jerry Lee. And Mickey Gilley was a cousin of Jerry Lee. And one time I was on that talk show, and Mickey Gilley was sitting next to me. And I said on the talk show, I said, now, you're cousins with Jerry Lee, and also you're also cousins with the preacher, right? And he said, right. And I said, as far as I know, y'all are the only cousins Jerry Lee hadn't married, aren't you? I wish I had a film of that show. I mean, Mickey Gilley like fell off the couch. Okay, Mike Williams says he's reading C.S. Lewis's biography and hadn't finished yet, but when he was young, he was a little weird. Yeah, well, we were all a little weird when we were young, weren't we? I know you were. I mean, I was. That's what I meant to say. John Steinbeck's dog. Now this is, I don't know if this is strange or just a tragedy, but John Steinbeck's dog ate his first manuscript of Mice and Men when he was halfway through. Oh man, when I wrote the Traveler's Gift, and I had just gotten through with the Truman chapter, the computer ate that chapter. And I know how I felt. I mean, I wanted to find a cliff to jump off of. So Steinbeck, I mean, half the book of Mice and Men, and your dog eats it. I'd have sold that dog to some Koreans or something. I mean, can you say that now? I don't think, you probably can't say that. Anyway, John Steinbeck had a very particular writing ritual, and he started every day with 24 sharpened pencils, and he used all 24 and dulled them up, all 24, before sharpening them again. He used up to 60 pencils in a day, sometimes nearly 100. His favorite brand to use was the Blackwing 602. And to write East of Eden, he went through, and sharpening them all the way to the nub, he went through 300 pencils. How about Washington Irving? Remember what Washington Irving wrote? He wrote Sleepy Hollow. He wrote Rip Van Winkle, you know, the man who went to sleep for 20 years. He was an insomniac.
That's funny.
You believe that? I mean, the guy couldn't sleep. And so he's I'll write about it. A story about a guy who sleeps for 20 years. Oh. Shakespeare died on his own birthday. Wow. No word on how old he was. But a 15th century clay pipe was found near his garden in Stratford with traces of marijuana and cocaine and acid. Shakespeare did drugs.
Apparently.
He didn't marry his cousin, but he did drugs. So, some of Shakespeare's plays have been translated, and they've been translated into Klingon, which is a language used by a fictional extraterrestrial humanoid warrior species that is on Star Trek. But can you believe? I mean, somebody has made up a Klingon language and actually translated Shakespeare into Klingon. I mean, there's somebody that they ain't got enough to do. I'm just telling you, they've got time on their hands. You know. Okay, here, get this. Here are a few of the phrases that were invented by William Shakespeare. These did not exist until he put them in his place. Dead as a doornail, in a pickle, wear your heart on your sleeve, star-crossed lovers, off with his head, fair play, all of a sudden.
Sure, it's not the sudden.
I think it's all of a sudden.
I've heard that argument before.
It's not all
Which
of
one
the
is it?
all of the sudden. It wouldn't be all of the sudden. It's all of a sudden. And Shakespeare also was responsible for Rammer Jammer Yellowhammer. So, American author William Faulkner dropped out of high school in his second year. You know, Adam would have loved to have done that. He'd have been, my youngest son, he would have been holding that over our heads. Well, Faulkner, in his second year, he wrote the outline to one of his novels on the walls of his writing office in Oxford, Mississippi. And to this day, visitors to Faulkner's home can still see the author's handwritten notes for his Pulitzer Prize-winning novel written on the walls. I mean, I think that's pretty cool, though. we got anything written on walls anywhere?
Around here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to write something on the walls.
Yeah, there's the mission statements.
Knowing
on the
some,
wall.
yeah, that's right. We got a mission statement right up there.
Got lots of stuff on the studs in here.
That's true. That's true. When we were building the studio, we had a lot of friends come in, and it was just studs in this studio. And we had, I don't know, 30 or 40 friends came in, and everybody had Sharpies and wrote well wishes and Bible verses and stuff, and then we closed them all in. So we're surrounded by that. Edgar Rice Burroughs, author of Tarzan, worked as a pencil sharpener salesman before he tried his hand at fiction. And John Steinbeck was his biggest customer. As a pencil sharpener salesman, Edgar Rice Burroughs tried his hand at fiction, and indeed, Burroughs only started writing at the age of 36 to support his wife and 2 children. So sometimes people say, hey, I've always wanted to be a writer, but it's too late. Well, it's not too late. I mean, it's not too late. There's a lot of people that start, way later. Stephen King, now this is odd. Stephen King admitted that his drug and alcohol issues were so bad in the 80s that he actually wrote all of Cujo without remembering any of it happening. Okay. And you got to wonder, wasn't Cujo a Saint Bernard?
I think so.
I think it was. I didn't read the book, and I didn't see the movie, but I saw a trailer. Right, right. I've written hard. I haven't had a movie made out of one of my books yet, and Stephen King don't even remember writing one that gets a movie made out of it. Hey, I guess. I read the other day that Lee Child, who writes all the Jack Reacher books, that he smokes pot writing. Here's an odd combination, though. I mentioned Jerry Jones a few minutes ago. Jerry Jones, who wrote the Left Behind series and tons.
Jenkins.
Yeah, Jerry Jenkins. Why did I say Jones? Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys, doesn't he? But who owns the Cowboys, really? The guy before the plastic surgery or the guy after? I mean, really. Maybe they both own the Cowboys. I don't know. But Jerry Jenkins, I mentioned a few minutes ago, that wrote the Left Behind series. He and Stephen King are great friends. Can you imagine that? But Stephen King called him one day. And Jerry, Matt, you know Jerry.
I do.
Jerry is as straight-laced and as normal a human being as you would ever know, and Stephen King is not.
They both have an appreciation for great writing.
They both have an appreciation for great writing. Stephen King called Jerry one day and just said, "Hey, I read your books." Jerry's like, "Who is this?" But isn't that funny? And then somebody did an article about them and put both of them on the cover. In the article, it said, one of them's talking them into hell and the other one's talking them out of it. So that was very weird. So this last little section here that I'm about to reveal, I think is very cool. Because you know how your mama always said, it's the people you hang around. You know, you turn out like the people you hang around. And you can find this in a lot of different areas of life, but I think it's amazing how many areas of people that sing, or people that write, or people that do something like that, how many of them just inspire each other and challenge each other. But Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and Truman Capote, who wrote In Cold Blood, among other things, grew up together in Monroeville, Alabama. Just little kids growing up in Monroeville. And what's the boy's name in To Kill a Mockingbird? My literary crew back here. They're going, well, you
Yeah,
can't.
I don't know if I read To Kill a Mockingbird. I did read in
You
Cold.
haven't read To Kill a
We
Mockingbird?
didn't have that in school.
I read it.
Emily did.
My wife she's gonna beat your butt.
Well, I did read In Cold Blood, and he wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, right?
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. When Polly and I got married, we had a little condo over here on the lagoon, and the couple who lived next to us was an older couple, and it was Nikki Floyd and Charles Raymond Floyd, her husband. And they were very cool, just great, great people. And at some point, Polly mentioned something about To Kill a Mockingbird was her favorite book, and well, I'd love to meet her one day. And Charles Raymond and Nikki said, Nell? You want to meet Nell? Because her real name is Nell Harper. And they said, well, we eat biscuits at Hardee's every Tuesday and Thursday with Nell. So Polly went with them one day and had Hardee's biscuits with Nell, and she signed Polly's To Kill a Mockingbird. Anyway, but the little kid, the boy in To Kill a Mockingbird, was based on Truman Capote. Of course, if he wrote it, he based it on himself. But Polly didn't like to hear that. She didn't like to hear that. She will like do a nah if you start saying that and anything about Elvis. I mean, which we all know that if Elvis was alive today, he would be Engelbert Humperdinck living in Las Vegas doing Krispy Kreme commercials, okay? Just because he died early, that's why he's a legend. Don't agree?
You just filled our mailbox, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I know. I did, didn't I? I did. Yeah. Polly doesn't like it when I get to messing with her about Elvis, and sometimes I'll go, Scylla, bring me my pills and my jelly donuts, baby. She don't like to hear that. She does not like to hear that. Okay, so H.G. Wells, who wrote The Time Machine. H.G. Wells worked as a math teacher before publishing The Time Machine. And one of his students was A.A. Milne, who went on to write Winnie the Pooh. Same classroom, Winnie the Pooh and The Time Machine. Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, taught French at Eton College, and he started teaching in 1917, and Aldous Huxley had a student in his class, George Orwell, who wrote Animal Farm, 1984. And by the way, how long has it been since you read 1984? High school? Because I read it in high school, and that was the last time I'd read it. And I had just this kind of vague idea that, yeah, it was about, Big Brother's watching you, communists. But man, you read that today. Oh my gosh. Just read it today and see if you don't think, how did this guy, how did he see into the future? Because boy, he called. He called the Soviet Union and a lot of the things that are going on today. Read 1984, and you won't sleep for a while. Okay, here is a great one. J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were English teachers at Oxford when they met, and they met at a faculty meeting and developed this unshakable friendship. This is J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. This pair as teachers, they would talk, and they believed that the fantasy and science fiction genres, while they were interesting, they didn't really have any good books. They didn't have any great stuff that they actually wanted to read. They liked the genre, the idea of the genre, but they didn't have anything that they thought was good enough to read. So they decided to write their own. And now they were both convinced that they were these two oddball weirdos who cared about stories that nobody else cared about. But their relationship was directly responsible for the creation of The Lord of the Rings and Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. And while C.S. Lewis is primarily known as a Christian author, at one point he had become an atheist. But on a fall evening in 1931, he took a walk with Tolkien, and by dawn, he had decided to embrace Christianity. Therefore, while they each influenced the other in their writing, it was actually Tolkien who had a lasting impact on Lewis's life. And in an interview, Tolkien stated, "I am a Christian, and of course what I write will always be from that essential viewpoint. The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings are fundamentally Christian works." That's what Tolkien said. So that's amazing. But that iron sharpening iron, that friendship, both of them, and everything I read said that they were reading each other's drafts and giving suggestions. They both wrote those things at the same time. Now, here's the last one, and this is maybe my favorite, because it's just like, holy cow, how much can come out of relationships. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. You know what he wrote? All the Sherlock Holmes novels. Conan Doyle went to the University of Edinburgh, where he was a classmate with Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula, and Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island, and he was on the cricket team with James Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan. All four of them there at one time. So it's amazing. This is why I hang out with Jerry Jenkins. Just hoping some of it will rub off. But when I'm with Jerry, I try to be humble. When I'm with Jerry, but I can sense my pride coming through. This is one of my greatest professional achievements, that together, Jerry and I have sold 91 million books. Oh my gosh. So I talked to a lot of kids who want to write, and not as tough as you think, okay? Sometimes people say, well, I have a hard time with spelling, I have a hard time with sentence structure, I have a hard time with punctuation. Yep, that's what editors are for. You have an imagination, you just write. Hey, you guys, please don't forget the Books for Veterans, the Hudson Family Foundation, matching up to, well, matching the next 250 books if we get them through the end of July. So really appreciate you guys being with us, and we'll see you Thursday. And there's